up for the jelly. Doing like that boy, you see money, 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 money. Spread it like.
Visualize it. I'll give it something to do.
Visualize it.
I'll give it something to do.
All right. Good morning, KW. On a beautiful Tuesday, July 28th, we're going to kick off team meeting this morning with two exciting announcements. First, I want to kick it off on Sunday's version of the Journal Sentinel. For those of you who read the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, they came out with their annual top workplaces survey results. And what this is back last fall, KW Associates would have received an email, and it's really all completely confidential survey as it relates to various different aspects of where you work and your relationship with KW. And we were super fortunate to win it again for the fifth consecutive year. We came in at number 4 for medium-sized companies across Milwaukee. Super awesome. And really, this is a testament to you guys and your happiness as it relates to your partnership with Keller Williams, and we appreciate you recognizing us as a top workplace. So thank you. Great publicity and great all-around recognition for all of you. So thank you for participating in the survey and helping us be recognized as a top workplace in Milwaukee. Cool. All right, now I'm going to jump it over to John Lorenz. John, are you on?
I am.
All right, so tell us about Protect the Package.
All right, so thank you for the time here this morning. This coming August 15th, I'll be hosting my 12th annual Protect the Package golf outing. By the name, you can see that it's a little humor in trying to raise awareness and money for men with cancer. So you're supposed to laugh when you hear the title. At the top of the golf outing, which I do have 1 or 2 more slots open, so if anybody's interested in golfing in it, you can give me a message or a call. But the bigger thing that I'd like to do is get Keller Williams out to the event for what I call Heckling Hill. As you can imagine, at a golf outing, typically you like things quiet. Etiquette is a thing. On the 18th green, that's not the thing. We try to have a party on this off to the side of the green, and I'll have live music. I'll have tents available. You guys bring the beverages, the food, whatever you want to kind of set up a tailgate atmosphere. Then as golfers come down to putt, you guys descend on the green and heckle them like crazy and make it an appropriate but obnoxious environment for them. It's a great time. We've been doing Heckling Hill for a couple of years now, but I really want to just build this up and make it just such a huge event. I call it the largest KW event of the year. Obviously, that only can happen if you guys make it the largest event of the year. So I have an event on Facebook. I have an event that I'll continually put up on the page. If you can start to let me know if you can make it. Anytime between 1 and 6:30 on the 15th, you could drop by, be obnoxious, drop off a donation, then head home, or you could stay all afternoon and make a great day of it. So you'll see this flyer pop up again on the Facebook pages, but please make a note for August 15th and do all you can to come on out to Scenic View and Slinger.
Hey, Lorenz, give us, just for perspective, I mean, how much money have you raised for Protect the Package? I mean, it's a couple $100,000, isn't it?
We just went over the $100,000 mark last year from these little events that I've run over the years. So we've given the money to the Medical College of Wisconsin, earmarked for man cancer research. And so we make it a unique day. So again, if you can golf in it, let me know, but ideally you want to get as many agents out. You can bring your significant other, probably not kids, even though we try to keep it to PG-13 as far as the heckling goes. But yeah, it's a great event. We raise a good amount of money, and we'd love to see you guys out there.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, John, for sharing it with us. And we hope to, I know I have a foursome signed up. And so hope to see a bunch of you guys out there and help support a great cause that John has been super passionate about for several years, and money going to a great cause. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, so now, guys, we're going to turn it over. I asked Brian Clute to jump on, and this actually came up in some of the conversations we had from our ALC meeting last week and some of the conversations I've had with agents in and around Milwaukee around mortgage rates, mortgage renting, and also more specifically, what I'm hearing more and more of are some buyers are waiting. And so what I asked Brian to do was just come on and talk about the cost of waiting over time and why that's actually not a good decision, so that how you can articulate that to your buyers for those who say they want to wait. So Brian, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Charlie. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's been a while. Hope you guys are well. By the way, John, I love that. I love the heckling hill. My favorite was the guy yelling out FSBO seller. That was pretty cool. Anyway, hey guys, let's start off with interest rates. So if you ever want to get a pulse for like exactly what's going on in the interest rate market, Freddie Mac puts out what they call the primary mortgage market survey. It's available online. It's super easy to find. And basically what they do is they poll lenders across the country and say, what are you selling today in terms of a 30-year fixed rate, a 15-year, and a 5/1 adjustable rate? So again, those are averages across the United States. If you're talking to buyers and you want to get a feel for whether or not the lender that they're talking to is giving them a good deal or a bad deal, this is a great place to go to. One of the things that I want to point out here, actually two things. Number one, you're going to see, and this is as of last week, this is as of the 23rd, they're showing the 30-year fixed rate at 3.01%. And then if you see just below that, it says 0.8 fees and points. And the reason that's important, guys, is that in a lot of states, what we're finding is that buyers, just as a general rule of thumb, will actually pay a little bit of money up front at the closing table to actually buy down their interest rate. So when you see a 3.01%, that assumes that buyer is paying 0.8 points in fees. This is actually up a little bit. In fact, we were just under 3% on an average 30-year fix the week prior. And the cool, exciting news on that is it is literally the first time in over 50 years that we saw interest rates dip below 3%. 50 years. So as Charlie talked about, one of the things that I'm doing with clients that I'm talking to is, guys, look, it sounds like this is what realtors and lenders say. There's never been a better time to buy. But guys, you have to understand, I'm going to show you the numbers. There's literally never been a better time to buy. And obviously one of those factors is what the rates are doing. So Charlie, why don't you hit the next slide here? This is going to give us some historical perspective. This chart just gives us a really, really quick snapshot of what mortgage rates have done in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, I think it's called the aughts, right? And I don't know what the 10s are, but we'll just call them the 10s. Just for some perspective, and this again was done about a week and a half ago, so this was showing rates at 3.24%. But I calculated something quick before we got on to this morning. I want to just give you some real quick numbers. So if you had a $350,000 mortgage today, the interest rate at 3%, your principal and interest payment would be $1,476. If we go back to the 70s and we equalize everything for time, in other words, we're borrowing $350,000, that $1,476 mortgage payment is actually going to go up to $2,781. So, I mean, literally double the cost. If we jump into the 80s, and some of you may remember this, it was like 1980, 1981, guys, mortgage rates for paper, straight, clean buyers got close to 20%. which is like a bad credit card. But if we calculate what the payment is at 12.7%, again, today's payment, $1,476, in the 80s, it would have been $3,790. So again, for people to understand that there's never been a better time to buy, they have to be able to have this chart and see things and put those into perspective. So Charlie, go ahead and hit the next slide, please. Okay, this is a fun one. This is the, should I buy now or wait until next year? And I say it's fun, but I think this is something that if I'm a real estate agent and I'm sitting down with buyers, I'm going to have this in my playbook. I'm going to be sharing with them at every first conversation point. I'm going to be sharing this on social media. Now, this chart gives us a comparison between the now interest rates, and I'm going to put an asterisk next to that because you're going to see the now at 3.6%. So these numbers actually go back about a month. And what we're doing here is we're comparing the now numbers to the projected numbers. So where do we get the projected numbers? Well, Freddie Mac puts together forecasted interest rates. So the Freddie Mac interest rate projection says that by Q4 of this year, we see rates up around 3.8%. You know, so interest rates and the cost of money is obviously one of the big factors that we have to bring into consideration, determining as to whether or not we want to wait or postpone our buying decision. But here's one thing that I think most buyers completely forget about. That same house that they're going to buy now is going to appreciate. I say it's going to appreciate because I'm basing that on a number of projections. And in fact, this particular report looks at CoreLogic. Their projection is that it's, at this time next year, that same house that was $250 this year is going to increase 5.4%. So not only did we lose out on the cost of the money being at its all-time low, but we also paid for, in this example, an extra $13,500. So for people that, you know, are trying to save additional money, they're trying, you know, they may be running on a treadmill that's moving faster than they can run. So if we quantify all this and we look at the mortgage payment, and I'm going to make some adjustments to this because again, this chart shows interest rates at 3.6%. So if we had a 3% interest rate now, where it's showing that mortgage payment of $1,136, that would actually be $1,054. So if we drop down to the bottom section, it says, what is it going to cost if you wait to buy? Well, on a monthly basis, where it's showing the coffee and the Friday night sushi, and I don't know about you guys, but that pink sushi is not looking very good right now. But the monthly savings jumps up to $173, or I should say, the additional cost to buy that house next year by virtue of higher interest rates and appreciation in real estate values, it's going to cost them an extra $173 a month. On an annual basis, that $1,094 is actually going to show, that's going to increase to $2,076. Now, that shows a weekend away, maybe paying off your credit cards. I don't know. I think most people probably carry more than $2,076, but anyway, it's going to take a chunk away from it. And then over the course of a 30-year period, this shows a $32,000 increase to the cost of buying that house. With interest rates at 3% right now, that number jumps up to over $62,000. So if we want to be real about it and say, what's the real cost of waiting on this particular property, we're looking at a minimum of $62,000 just by waiting 1 year. Next slide, please. You know, another thing that I get in talking to a lot of buyers is, you know, they feel as if they're not in a position to buy now. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And it blows my mind. I mean, I've been doing this for 22 years. And there was a recent study that said that 50% of home buyers or prospective home buyers in this country still think you need a 20% down payment to purchase a home. 50%. So the law of averages, guys, says this: if you're out talking to people, every other person you talk to is not going to know that you can buy a house with less than 20% down. And so what this chart actually shows us is that in this current environment, the average first-time home buyer is actually putting 6% down. The average repeat buyer, so somebody selling their house, moving up, is still 14%. So across the board, we're looking at an average down payment of 10%. So one of the things that I've always loved to share with real estate partners of mine is to say, if you want to grow your business, one of the simplest ways to do this is make it a point every single day to talk to every single person you know and ask them the question, I'm just doing a survey. Do you know how much is required for a down payment on your home? Half the people are going to get it wrong. And then of course, when they get it wrong and you share the truth, it's an opportunity to say, well, knowing that, who do you know that might be that's waiting to save up 20%? On the left side, we also talk about the average credit score. So this is a chart that shows back in February 2019. All borrowers had an average credit score of 726. FHA borrowers had an average credit score of 675. So we don't need perfect credit. We just need good credit. The next section I think is fantastic. And it's talking about a rent.com survey. Check this out, guys. 88% of property managers raised their rent in the last 12 months. 53% said they were more likely to bring in a new tenant at a higher rate than renegotiate and renew a lease with a current tenant that they already know. So the beautiful thing about this is, as we're sharing and talking with prospective buyers, we lock into that 30-year fixed rate at 3% or 3.5%. The mortgage payment they're making never changes. Property taxes go up a little bit. Homeowners insurance goes up a little bit. But for the next 30 years, we literally see no change to that payment. So, and then again, we share what the interest rates are. It's another screen that's going to show you what those rates are historically. So next slide, please. This is another great chart. People ask the question, can I buy real estate? Is it really a great investment? Well, this shows in really clear format. If we look at the four biggest investment portfolios, if you will, real estate has grown over the last 35 years, or 7 years running, is showing a 35% rate of appreciation. In that same period of time, the stock market, 21%. Savings account, 17. That actually surprises me that people are getting that kind of return. Gold, 16%. And of course, the key here is this. Of the four listed, real estate is the only investment that you can also live in. So next slide, please. So guys, one of the other things that we have, and this is a getting back to helping buyers understand what the cost of waiting is. So what this chart does is it basically says, if you've got, for example, a $300,000 mortgage in the far left column, we know that if you took out that loan with an interest rate of 3%, their principal and interest payment is $1,265. And we can sit down and show that same borrower that if we move up the scale and show what happens to rates as they increase, you can subsequently see what their payment increases are going to look like. So we've got a great kit that we could share with anybody interested that gives you this slide. And again, I would take this, I would laminate it, I would put it in your buyer portfolio. Again, just another, guys, I've always said this, the most valuable thing we can ever do, the biggest value offering that we have, is to help people identify that there are problems or challenges that exist in their space that they don't know are problems and challenges, and then come into the room and give them an opportunity with a solution. Right? Buyers that are sitting on the fence waiting don't know these things. It's our job to be able to share it. And the tools that we are able to provide you will hopefully go a long way towards helping you to bridge that conversation gap. Next slide, please. So again, guys, those four pieces, we've got a whole multitude of other pieces that are incredibly valuable tools that you can share with your buyers. If you guys go ahead and text Playbook to 414-409-3393, my team and I will get together and put this together for you, share our portfolio, putting this together for your buyers. It doesn't cost you anything, but just a fantastic suite of different profile points to be able to help you to get those buyers to move off the fence.
Cool. Brian, thank you for sharing. And guys, I'll make sure to include this in our weekly recap as well. That goes out later this afternoon. You know, when you look at and you consider really even the first one, they compared it 3.6 versus 3.8. Even though rates right now are around 3% or even below, and they're projected by fourth quarter to go into 3.8%, if you just look at the 0.2 of a difference between 3.6 and 3.8 over the 30-year life of that loan is $32,000, and then say, oh, by the way, rates are even lower right now, below 3%, you can pretty much double that number. It is a very powerful conversation around why it does not help your buyers to wait in this current environment as it relates to lending and their buying power. So please, please, please utilize this information. Brian, thank you for sharing with our group, and we will make sure we get it out to everybody.
Absolutely. Thanks, Charlie. Appreciate it, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
All right,
Deej, I'm turning it over to you because I mistakenly screwed up last week's presentation around profit share, but I wanted to make sure that we did due diligence because there were some awesome numbers to share. So, Deej, I'll turn it to you.
All good. There's nothing wrong with waiting to share good news, and that's what we have today. You guys, on June 21st, we call it mailbox money arrives for people. And look at this number. If anyone watched the baseball over the weekend and the sound effects when people did, hit a home run or what, this is when I wish we had those sound effects. This is the number that the North Shore shared, $39,318 in profit share this month. And Lake Country shared $17,786. So imagine those home run cheers going off right now. That's fantastic. And there's one more slide here, you guys. Profit share insights. We're going to be talking about this more and more. This is a tool for you to use to build your wealth, right? So wanted to put this in perspective. Lifetime profit share for KW Milwaukee, this area is $2.5 million. That's to our associates over the course of KW's experience in the Milwaukee area. The total paid out in June, this June, $82,000. So you guys, that's not chump change. That's family changing, kind of plan changing cash. And here's the breakdown. People think that goes to one lump sum or whatnot. 85 associates got $100 plus this month. 42 got $500 or more. And the 19 associates got over $1,000 for this month alone in profit share. So you guys, just a reminder, profit share is our KW's way of acknowledging the associates that builds the market center. So somebody asked me, does that mean we have to recruit? No, what we want you to do is share your experience. If you're having a good experience and you know somebody out there that you want to be a colleague of yours through KW, you let Charlie, me, or Mandy know, and we'll follow up with them. If you're not sure what we talk to them about, talk to us. Join us in an appointment or a conversation. What we want to do is share the value that is KW, and this is the kind of result that comes from that. So congratulations to everybody. Here's big context from KW. We heard 88 people across KW have made $1 million through profit share. And just this June, that number jumped by 2. So 90 people in the KW world have made $1 million through their profit share. So just some things to think about as you're talking to people out there and doing your business at the high level that you do. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Deej. All right. Lindsay Vranick, Peter Gossman, and Brad Yates, you're on for Tech Tuesdays all around Facebook ad campaigns and to share a really awesome story.
All right, so good morning, everybody. Today's tech training is about campaigns and command. Specifically, we're going to be talking about just Facebook ads. And so we're going to be going over some best practices and how to really get the best return on investment. And one of the agents that's doing that at a pretty high level is Peter Gossman. As you can see, he's done only 5 Facebook ads, I think in just the last couple of months. He's got a total of 139 leads from those 5 ads. And so out of that, there's 5 potential hot buyers that he's currently working with. And that's a potential GCI of $44,400. The total that he spent on those 5 ads is only $150. So Peter, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk more about the success that you've been having. Peter, are you on?
Good morning, KW. How is everybody this morning? I'm speaking to you live from the basement at the Market Center with Molitor and Mandy down here. It's lonely. We need to get back in here. I just followed, I've done 5 ads. I did 3 ads following what Lindsay and Brad had set up and followed that roadmap. And then the last 2 ads, which really kind of skewed the cost per lead, I followed Marty Miller's new 66-day challenge, which just started recently, and I subscribe to his YouTube channel. The biggest takeaway for me, and the reason that those last 2 ads were skewed a little bit, is that when I created the ad, I didn't put an interest section in. I will never, ever, never, ever run another Facebook ad without doing an interest, if only just Zillow, Trulia, and Realtor.com. So people that follow those sites, clicking on the leads, they're already interested. The whole thing about this Facebook ad campaign that I'm running is putting my message out where I know the eyeballs are to interested parties, and it's really painless. For the first 3 ads, my cost per lead was 93 cents. And most of those 5 buyers came from those first 3 ads. Now, there's nothing wrong with the last 2. It was a little more laborious, but the big benefit from the last 2 was also setting up a custom smart plan to follow up, which works. It's a 26-day smart plan, 12 steps. It's a little bit of work to set up, but a lot of the information, including Phil Byers' share last week, was do the work in front, set it up, and then just let it run. Now, my 139 total leads have kind of funneled down to 80. Those are people that are still wanting me to engage, people that haven't asked me to stop. That's still a pretty good number. At some point, most of those folks are going to buy a home. 5 of them have identified themselves as actively in the market. I think probably 2 are a little stronger than other. The GCI potential for those is 19.3, but total for the 5 and conservatively is 44.4. That's pretty good for a $150 spend in my mind. Now, I've tried to be conservative. I don't have them yet. The fortune is in the follow-up, and they've allowed me to follow up, so I'm going to continue to do that. But I'm going to be running more ads on listings and more ads looking for listers and more ads looking for buyers, because I think it really works.
It's a phenomenal way. You know, one of the things people always ask me is, how do I add to my database? How do I add to my database? Because we know that the database, your number of people you have in your database directly is correlative to the opportunity that you have within your income. And it's a great feature that Command has, working with Facebook on the back end to really allow you to generate these leads. And you can see through the success that Peter's had. I mean, 5 potential buyers for a potential GCI of 44,000 is incredible. So we'll make sure that we're going to continue following this story to tell you once Peter closes these deals and to show you the success from start to finish of the entire campaigns. Lindsay, anything else you guys wanted to share?
Just one more thing, Charlie, which I kind of forgot to mention, which you alluded to.
Yeah.
You have 2 potential places for these leads to show up. They'll show up right in Command, but you have to attach a business page to the ad, and they'll show up on your Facebook business page too. And they go from the Facebook ad, they feed right into Command, and it's totally painless.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's super easy then to be able to set up a custom smart plan, which is what Peter is doing, and on that as well when we train on smart plans, and how you can create those custom ones to be able to follow up with these 139 leads that you're getting from the Facebook campaign. So tech training is at noon today. So hop on and learn more about how to set these up.
Cool. Thanks, Lindsay. Thank you, Peter. All right, Kimmy, you are up for some compliance updates.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. A few updates for you. First and foremost, excluded listings and marketing. So we're all aware as of March 1st, the NAR implemented their new clear cooperation policy, which permitted marketing on, or did not change the rules on marketing excluded listings. You're no longer able to market those excluded listings. This includes yard signs. Our MLS was kind enough to grandfather in those listing agreements that were signed prior to March 1st. So they said you are able to still market those properties, keep your yard sign if you have them. However, we did get a call from MLS about a listing that it was one of those grandfathered in listings. An agent drove by the home, saw the yard sign, and questioned, why is there a yard sign on a listing that's not in MLS? So MLS explained to that agent why there was a yard sign in that property. However, we are encouraging you, if you do have a yard sign in a excluded listing because it was grandfathered in, we're encouraging you to cease that marketing. And there's two reasons for that. One is the perception that you as an agent and us as a company are not abiding by this National Association of Realtors Clear Cooperation Policy, which every agent across the country must abide by. And then it brings confusion not only to other agents, but especially to consumers in the market. So if you have a listing that was excluded prior to March 1st, you have a yard sign in, and that it's not going to be going live in MLS or active anytime soon, please consider, ceasing the marketing, removing the yard sign. Please come to me if you have any questions, and we can help you out. All right, next topic. This may kind of sound silly that we have to talk about this, but Steph and I are seeing a lot of sloppy mistakes happening on contracts. So I just want to cover just some basics of drafting your contracts. You as licensed agents are responsible for drafting enforceable contracts and contingencies. This is not all agents across the country have this ability where we're essentially drafting legal contracts. So failure to properly execute a contract may subject you to discipline by the Department of Regulation and Licensing for failure to practice competently. So this includes completing all pertinent blanks. So if you're leaving things blank, putting X's or dashes across them, not leaving deadlines out. Don't rely on the default. Put in a deadline. Strike out whether seller has or does not have right to cure. Don't just rely on the default. Ensure that you're using the proper form. So if it's after acceptance, you're using an amendment to change terms of the contract. If it's before acceptance, you're using a counteroffer. And also ensure you're using the most updated form. Top left corner of every contract, there's a mandatory use date. We've had the residential offer to purchase updated this year, and it's going to be updated again. It was actually just released last night, as well as the condo offer to purchase. So that both of those will have a mandatory use date of September 1st. So ensure that by September 1st, you are using the updated form. Now, if you are pulling your forms from ZipForm or DocuSign, you are using the proper form. Those will always be updated. But if you're one of those that like to download and save to your computer or have paper copies, you need to switch those out to ensure you're using the most updated forms. With that, I just want to mention, again, the WB11 residential offer to purchase, they're calling it Take Two. They're just made a few revisions on it. And the the WB14 condo offer to purchase is updated. A mandatory use date of September 1st. Mandy is going to touch on the training calendar shortly. We will have 2 trainings in the month of August that covers what those changes are. So that's all I have on the drafting errors. Last reminder for you all is continuing ed. Great opportunity right now to get your continuing ed done. Recommend using the coursework through the WRA. Super easy to sign up, get registered. There's on-demand self-study classes. You pick what's best for you and your learning style. Please email me if you're in the North Shore office, and email Steph if you're in the Lake Country office when you have your continuing ed completed, just so we can follow up with everybody and make sure everybody's getting that done. You will then also need to renew your license come October. So you'll get an email from the DSPS when that time comes. And I will also remind you all at that time as well. So that's all I have for you this morning.
Cool. Guys, don't wait on continuing ed. You don't want to be caught December having to do this all in one day. So don't wait. Get it done. All right. Hey, I want to touch on one thing. On occasion, we in the industry will take on a listing of someone who is either a politician, a professional athlete, a CEO of a major public corporation that for whatever reason is a very, very sensitive listing as it relates to, there's a lot of press, there's a lot of media, whether it's positive or negative. And I just want to remind the group, our fiduciary remains with the seller until it is not. Right? So please be cautious when sharing, posting, or commenting on real estate related posts as to not jeopardize your ethical obligations. And I'm going to share with you a very current example situation. JSG team, congrats to them. They took on a very, very public listing this week of a Bayview home that very many media outlets have reported on over the course of the last 6 to 9 to 12 months. And then it kind of gained some steam this week as it went live as the sellers were looking to sell. And I just want to remind the group, it is, again, our fiduciary responsibility. We work for the sellers until we do not. And please, please, please do not jeopardize your ethical obligations as it relates to your commentary or posts on social media. These oftentimes come up with CEOs of major public companies, of professional athletes, of politicians. Just as a reminder, please, please, please refrain and understand your ethical obligations as it relates to the use of social media, and please proceed with caution. And I just share with you this as a very specific example of something that is going on right now. And I asked Jay for permission to use this as an example to educate our group, just as a reminder as it relates to our fiduciary and how we utilize and leverage the tool of social media. If you have questions on this, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Kimmy or Steph, Diana or Mandy, and just be very mindful as it relates to how you portray things on anybody's listing, whether it's a KW listing, a Coldwell Banker listing, a Shore West listing, and your commentary around those listings on social media. Cool. Market insights and weekly trends. So this week, what I did is I wanted to take a look at the macro view of the market, right? And I wanted to say, okay, are we seeing the similar trends in Wisconsin or that we're seeing in other areas? And the easiest tool for me to do that is showing you buyer activity across a couple different geographies. And the reason why I do this is to give you perspective to say, is the real estate market, what we're seeing here in Milwaukee specifically, unique to what we do? Or is it a trend, a macro trend that we're seeing across the country, right? And as it relates to people's apprehension or anxiety around where the financial markets may be heading in the next 6 to 12 months, as it correlates to the real estate markets in the next 6 to 12 months, I wanted to give you guys, again, a perspective as to what does it look like in Illinois and Iowa and Minnesota and our neighboring states to tell us a story as it relates to the strength of the marketplace. I'm going to jump into that first. I'll go back to some of this stuff. I didn't realize that was up front. So in North America, you can see here, this is North America from January 12th all the way to July 26th. The blue line is your 2019 weekly average. Your orange line is your 2020 weekly average based on showing time buyer activity. Again, this is across North America. And you can see here across the total North American landscape, 2020 in the beginning of the year was really set out to be a great year in terms of buyer demand as it relates to showing activity. And then obviously the pretty much shut down of across the entire U.S. And then you can see here, beginning in May across the U.S., we really started to see a strong comeback as it relates to buyer activity within the market across all of North America. And North America is defined by both Canadian markets and United States markets. So I said, okay, good. That's a good macro trend for us. Now let's take a look at Iowa. Iowa, very similar story. It really started off in a really strong way in the beginning of the year. And I would say the strength in Iowa has come back where they're now trending above last year's number, but not nearly as strong as what we saw across the North America. Okay, good to know in the state of Iowa. I look here in the state of Minnesota, very similar trends, right? Early in the year, we're trending above, dipped below during the shutdown period, and then beginning around mid-May is when the lines kind of crossed. And in Minnesota, the buyer activity has still remained very strong, continuing on. Then here, as it relates to Illinois, Illinois is in a very, very favorable position. Again, the buyer demand activity as it relates to showings has come back really, really strong, really beginning around that mid-May timeframe. But again, showing that the buyer activity remains strong, right? So then how do we correlate this to Wisconsin? And this is the graph that I've showed you guys every week, is the good news, and the reason why I looked at North America and then our 3 neighboring states, is to say when you see trends, macro trends across the country that are very similar, it's good. I always say Milwaukee is somewhat insulated in terms of the trends that we see within the real estate markets, and usually things hit the coasts and down south first and then move their way to Wisconsin. And typically trends show up first in the Twin Cities and Chicago. So when I look at that and I see that those trends are continuing very similar to what we're seeing in Wisconsin, that's good news for all of us. And that's really, really healthy. That gives me a lot of confidence looking ahead to the future as it relates to the next 6 to 12 months of activity, that we are in a very strong position as it relates to demand within the marketplace. So as it relates to units under contract, right? Units under contract, again, as of last week, were the highest number of units that went under contract within a week, right? I keep saying this week over week, but it's true. We had 721 units that went under contract last week. And the other really, really positive news as it relates to trends within this space is if we take our latest 4-week trends, which would be right around 4th of July through last week, and we just took where we were trending in July of 2019. So we took the same number of units that went under contract this year, latest 4 weeks this year versus all of July of last year. The market's trending up of units under contract plus 7.8%. Again, really, really solid as it relates to buyer demand. And it also shows and then correlates as it relates to the sales absorption. And as a reminder, the sales absorption is the total percentage of inventory that goes under contract within a given week. Last week, as has been for the last several weeks, was the highest sales absorption rate for in 2020. We continue to see that trend climb, and it's really a strong indication of demand, right? So I look at sales absorption and I look at units under contract that are trending really, really strong. That's great, right? And very similarly, as we've talked about in the past, the one trend that I don't like seeing now for the 3 weeks in a row is it relates to new inventory units that are coming to the marketplace, right? And that latest 4-week trend is trending down 22%, right? So you say, okay, Charlie, what does this mean? How do I boil this down to tell a story? Well, the story here really simply is this. Inventory is trending down 22%. Units that are going under contract is up, let's just call it 8%, right? What is that telling us? That's telling us really that the buyers are, it's highly, highly competitive, which you probably all know. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, right? And it's only going to get more competitive as sales absorption continues to climb, units under contract continues to climb, and new inventory units aren't keeping pace with those that are going under contract. Again, and as we move into the fall and we move into people's dealing with their level of risk tolerance as it relates to putting their homes on the marketplace, this will be a trend that I am going to be following very, very closely, because as you see here back in March and April, as we started to really rebuild inventory levels, and we remained pretty stable through June, and now July, I'm seeing trends that I don't really like to see. I don't like going in the opposite direction. So more news to come as it relates to that. And I'm going to jump back here quick. And I'm going to just touch on 2 things that I had in the beginning that I didn't intend to have in the beginning. And this relates to an email that I send out really once a week, and it comes out on Tuesdays. And the reason I bring this up is it is very, very rare. Put it this way, I try and send out as few of emails, all company emails, as humanly possible. I understand you guys get enough emails as it is, and I really try, if I have to send something out, is really because I need you to know something or I want you to have something. Same thing as it relates to Diana. Diana and I work on this together to make sure that we get this to the group every week. And we want to just make sure, you know, this comes out, like this is an example of last week's email. It came out on Tuesday at noon. Typically these come out always on Tuesdays, and it's always follow-up from team meeting or information or things that were talked about within team meeting that we want to get in your hands. So like, for example, in today's follow-up email, you'll be getting the information that Brian shared as it relates to the cost of waiting. You'll be getting the market share insights. You'll be getting the compliance updates from Kimmy. But I want to just make sure that as you see this email come into your inbox on Tuesday, that you know that it's filled with resources for you, and I want it to be a one-stop shop for you. So as it relates to any follow-up for team meeting and things of the such. So I please just ask that you just take a look at this email, and oftentimes many of the things that agents are looking for or follow-up as it relates to team meeting are found within this one email. And so I just wanted to pretty much hammer that point home to make sure that you guys are seeing the email on Tuesdays from Diana and I as a follow-up to the week. Cool. So now I'm just going to jump forward, and we talked about this last week, so I'm not going to hammer that home. And I think we're going to jump into, sorry, got some. All right, Mandy, you're on for training and education.
Perfect. Sounds good. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to remind everybody about the YouTube channel. Everything that we do is there and ready for you, including last week's Phil Byers. If in case you missed it, it's already got over 30 views on it. It's been a super great resource for everyone in terms of setting up that 33 touch and just learning how to work your database all year round. So one thing too I wanted to point out on the YouTube channel that you might not know about is, Charlie, if you go to the next slide, if you click on playlists, if you're looking for something specific, now that there's so much content on there, it can be really hard to find what you're looking for. In case you didn't know, we drop them all into specific buckets. So if you know you're looking to re-reference something that Kimmy talked about on a contract training, and you know the specific contract subject that you're looking for, you can go to playlists, you can select contract training and scroll through just the 20 videos instead of the whole library. If you know you're looking for something involving tech, you can go here and search the tech playlist. So make sure to use that. It's just a little bit more user-friendly when trying to find something specific. And for those who haven't subscribed, you can go to youtube.com/Keller Williams Realty Milwaukee. And if you hit that subscribe button on the top, you will be notified every time a video is uploaded. So just a little reminder on the YouTube channel. And then I just wanted to talk about Bold starting next week already, you guys. So, you know, after the last Bold that ended, if you think you took it already and you're good to go, after it wrapped, they took attendees' suggestions, they turned them into action items. So this next round is going to be even more valuable. They've added structured accountability, more scripting, more role play, special guest speakers are going to be popping on. So if you haven't signed up for Bold, you'll notice the August training calendar is pretty lean internally because we really want you to take advantage of Bold that's available starting again next week, Tuesday. So if you haven't signed up, sign up. Charlie will include the link for that in the email. Just a reminder, a text went out last night, but launch coaching today, there is no class today. Amanda has asked that you write an offer to purchase for a listing at 7018 West Adler Street in Milwaukee. And if you can send the offer to purchase for Amanda to review to amandakeyhome@gmail.com, subject launch offer. The Zoom link will be open for those who want to jump on and kind of lab it and workshop it together. Feel free to do that. But otherwise, go ahead and work on that offer to purchase for Amanda before next week. Then just a reminder for the last week of July's trainings. On Wednesday, we have our agent admin mastermind. Our regional tech coordinator, Gordon, is going to be on there talking all about command. So don't forget to miss that. And then this will go out today. This is the August training calendar. Kimmy mentioned, and I wanted to just point out that those revised offer to purchase trainings are going to be on the 10th is going to be the residential offer to purchase, and on the 17th is going to be the condo. So if you want to attend those live to be able to ask questions, those are on the 10th and the 17th. And then we have bold starting right away August 4th on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then you'll see the save the date there for Mega Camp as well. They're doing special early bird pricing for Mega Camp. So if you know you're going to attend, I would recommend signing up early to save, I think it's like $50 savings. So go ahead and sign up early.
Cool. Thanks, Mandy. Super exciting. Last year, we had the opportunity to have Dan Warner, who is the head of Uber Freight for all of Europe, come and speak to us around drivers of exponential growth, right? And he really kind of broke this down into 4 buckets: operational excellence, perseverance, conviction by data, and talent and diversity of thought. And he shared with us his experience of coming up through the ranks at Uber, working all over the world, and shared with us an understanding around Uber's rides flywheel, right? And he correlated it very similarly to how in the real estate business, where real estate agents don't really have a physical asset, similar to Uber. Uber doesn't have a physical asset. What is everybody's asset in this business? It is simply their database and or in Uber's case, it's their rider platform. And in more specifically his case, it's his platform to connect shippers to opportunities for shipping freight all over Europe. So I'm really excited. Next week, we will have Dan on the call on Tuesday morning for our team meeting. He's going to call in and he's going to give us an update of taking Uber Freight from literally, he was employee number 1 at Uber Freight in Europe to now over 300 people who work at Uber Freight, running a business that's hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's going to take and build on the lessons he talked about last year with us almost exactly a year ago, and talk about what it was like to work in a hyper growth environment and how he motivates his team every single day and how what the different levers he pulls. And so it's all going to be around accountability, working in hyper-growth environments, and learning about different business platforms. So think about next week's Tuesday team meeting more of a TED Talk, less about real estate, and then correlating the TED Talk to what we do, how we do it every single day. So I wanted to plug that to make sure that you guys are on next week's Tuesday team meeting, 9 o'clock on August 4th. We'll have Dan Warner from Uber to talk to us. Cool, I'm super excited about it, guys. Awesome. That is it. Guys, congrats on being nominated as the top workplace. We appreciate everything you do. If there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to reach out. Go make this beautiful Tuesday great, and have an awesome week, guys. Talk to you guys next week to be on the call with Uber Dan. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. And also,